Hey guys, welcome back to Winter Wolf's Den. Winter Wolf over here, King Z over there. We're coming back at you today in our shorter show. Now that HBO Max's Last of Us is over, we're still doing The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 4 on our show titled Winter's Wrath, Summer's Scorn. King Z, what's going on, dude? Been a while.
Hey, what's going on? Over here, just doing my thing. In between projects, should have one starting here in mid-April, but also have a project next week. Can't talk about it, but it's one day, and then of course there's Masters Week, so that's gonna be a fun week.
Always a to-do. All right. Why don't you tell everybody what we're doing with the show here? Give them our usual heads up so they know what we're doing.
All right, so today's show we're going to break down the Mandalorian, episode 4, as fast as we can. We're going to put 20 minutes on the clock. We're going to try to hit 3 points. As you can see below our names are 3-point markers. As we hit them, they'll disappear, and we'll just try to make it under 20 minutes. Also, me and the Winter Wolf are trying to experiment with some different show formats. So we might be coming at you with some experimental stuff. We would like your honest feedback. Any way you can come back and tell us how we can improve the show, because what we're trying to do is put out quality content for all of you out there. We are trying to, just relate a little bit more, try to do something new, something fun, so we're not just doing desk bits like we are now. Maybe we'll have some fun coming up. We have a few ideas, and I think you guys are going to dig it. But if you have any suggestions, if you have any ideas, go ahead and leave in that comments. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, because you don't want to miss the new content that we'll be coming with. So let's get this thing rolling.
Dude, nice, dude. And I actually had a suggestion for the content idea that I'll run at you after the show when we're done here. Minor tweak to the format we got going here, but I think it'll be effective. But with no further ado, King Z, if you got the 20 on the clock already, we'll start tuning into the time.
All right.
And as always, there it is. And final spoiler alert warning, since this show does have a runtime of about 11 seconds this week, it's kind of impossible to avoid spoiler talk as it pertains to the episode. So if you guys haven't watched Mandalorian episode 4 from season 3, take off, go start something in the microwave, watch the episode, get your food out of the microwave, and come back and check out our video, because it's not going to last long. King Z, why don't you go first again? I like having the guests go first on this one.
All right, point one on this one for me will be there's an aerial battle in every episode. If it's TIE fighters, if it's big ships, or if it's flying birds trying to get food for their younglings. I think there's an aerial battle in every one of this, trying to show off. That's pretty much what I took out of this one. This one is a lot more, you see, special forces type hit on this one, which I kind of did on that straightforward episode. I mean, 32-minute runtime in between the credits, so.
True that. I think if there's I'll just as a jump off of what you're saying, that's probably the only part of the episode that was worth a damn at all for me, at all. And I'll lead that into my first point here. It's going to be a critical one. Dude, this show is Fonzie jumping the shark. This show is Batman jumping the shark. This show is bad. They've lost the pulse on this one. They've lost the thread. They've lost the through line. Whatever positives they had going through season 1, where it was all kind of new and kind of interesting, and into season 2 with the Skywalker touch point at the end of the finale of season 2. This show isn't that anymore. I have no idea how we in my opinion, we've seen such a degradation in terms of just narrative quality between the first 2 seasons and here. Case in point example specifically, the logic in this episode is an absolute head scratcher to me. They have rules that are made internally within the episode, and then they're broken almost immediately, rendering all of the stakes completely meaningless. And of course, I'm talking about how they're the Mandalorian section. They're trying to track down a giant T-Rex bird thing to kidnap one of their younglings. And the armor and several others specifically say at various junctions, you can't use blasters or jetpacks because until they shoot at the thing and the youngling isn't killed. They're tracking an animal that took a kid ostensibly to eat, but then they stop for a camp out in s'mores, and then they proceed in the morning. And then it's only made dumber when we realize that the youngling that's taken is Paz Vizsla's son, one of the Mandalorians in pursuit. Like, What dad out there, and dads, I'm talking to you guys, what dad out there is stopping for a fucking camping trip if it's your kid whose ass is, literally being eaten? Which brings me to the final stupid point involved with that. We're to believe that the giant T-Rex bird flew around for a day and a half with a living morsel in its mouth, didn't eat it, didn't kill it even, and then finally returns to the nest to feed its offspring mama bird style? Like, no, I can't. Dude, wait, there's more. There's more in this one big point. Like, beyond their sense of lack of urgency of just recovering this kid, dude, why do these jackasses still live on this beach? Like, why? They've now been attacked by a giant alligator, the giant T-Rex bird thing, and they say that this has happened before. Why? Move, go, relocate. Get a stipend moving bonus from like Amazon or something and peace out. I don't get this show. And it's all coming apart for me just in terms of, we see now they're really, I think, favoring spectacle over anything in the story at all. If you're talking about aerial battles, just to reconnect it to that. When they get going, some of that's kind of cool. But again, I say, beyond Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, the rest of the Mandalorians are kind of fucking idiots. Like, they don't fight well in this season. Like, you remember in season 1, they had that pivotal scene where that small group of Mandalorians comes to Din Djarin's defense at the end of whatever episode. Dude, they just roll up in there like they are special forces or they're SWAT, and they lay the smackdown on whatever they were shooting at. And that was the first time Taz Bizzle said, this is the way back to Din Djarin, and you're like, oh, okay, that got the goose hairs going. Like, that was good shit. Now they're a bunch of buffoons shooting at the water where they were recently attacked by a giant space alligator thing, and they haven't relocated. Who are these fucking guys? All right, that's enough for point 1. I've eaten up about 8 minutes. Give me point number 2, dude. Let's keep the train moving.
All right, point number 2. We're gonna go back to, because there's not much content, to the climb up to the bird's nest. Did you get the idea this was like a D&D party? Because homeboy, first off, baby daddy, going up the hill mountain with the big Gatling gun. Like, you're climbing up a rock face with the biggest gun I've ever seen, and I'm just thinking, he must be the barbarian. And then
he's Wolfgar, yeah, fact.
And then you have Din. He's the ranger who can like swing around, actually has stealth. You have the broken paladin returning to the faith of Bo-Katan. I mean, it's a D&D party that you see going up there. Now, a little bit on them not using blasters and not using grenades because they would kill the foundling. That part they did go against once he took off, but the other part was the stealth part. They stayed stealth until they were discovered. Because homeboy saw his kid and just ran in like a dummy.
Right.
Like a barbarian.
To counter that point real quick, though, the point was the boy was still like within the monster's physical clutches. So, you know what I mean? Like, he was still in danger to be murdered if these weapons are used for whatever. You know what I mean? It's just dumb. But go ahead. Keep going, dude. You're in the middle of your point. Go ahead, keep going. I didn't mean to get
So, yeah, my point was that it was a D&D party doing a raid on a medium boss. Yeah, it was
level
just
15
funny.
bird monster.
Yeah.
Dude, the climbing thing kills me because I'm watching, like you said, like you came at it from like the gear perspective. I'm watching these morons try to scale, the sheerest side of the cliff face they can sheer, but they're only intermittently using the winch blaster, tripwire, grappling hooks that they all, like, we know they all have them, right?
Yeah.
But they're using them dumb. Like, they shoot it to like get the lock, but then they're manually climbing. I'm like, dude, push the button and retract. It'll pull you up.
They could be used as a safety line because if they do that, they won't have anything to hold them in place to shoot the next one.
Yeah.
They're probably shooting, cutting, climbing.
That's fair, but I mean, I also saw a bunch of these jackasses also just free climbing it, and I'm like, well, that's gonna take that guy 9 hours to get up there. Well, we're already up there waiting for Jim to make his way up there with the supplies or the medicine or the extra ammo. I don't know. It was just dumb.
That's the bard. It's just dumb. That's the bard. He's okay.
Right, dude. Oh, dude.
He's just there to sing a song later.
Oh, dude. And we didn't even get that.
Yeah, even by the campfire. We had a perfect campfire for our song for the bard.
There was set up for it. They had s'mores, they had blankets, they had camping gear. There was a Coleman grill. I'm quite certain I saw one. I just can't. It's too dumb.
This is
too stupid. This has long since not been the way. Point number 2 for me on my side is it's now, I think it's clear now that this show, I think you were right on your theory to a degree last week when we were talking about the Mandalorian isn't actually Din Djarin. It's Grogu, but I'm thinking now more it's actually Bo-Katan. I think we're now firmly in territory of the Mandalorian of this season. Maybe Din Djarin was the Mandalorian season 1, Baby Yoda was the Mandalorian season 2. I think this season it's obviously Bo-Katan because now her story is more interesting than anything he's done in a season and a half. It's obviously her party going forward, which it's good and it's bad in different ways. I signed up for the Faceless Gunslinger story. That's really what I wanted. But they're putting all of the interesting development and introspection and redemption into her story. She's got a great setup for it in the lore, which is fine. But again, this was a different character's show that you sold me on, and there's still plenty to unpack in his world. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He ended the babysitter role. Have him do something else. Have him go on a different bounty, or have him face off against an opponent that is on a vengeance kick because of a bounty he executed. You know what I mean? Like there's a billion things you could have done, but he's still literally just a babysitter at this point. I'll give him credit for at least this much. At least his involvement in the action sequences the last 2 episodes have been solid. Like when they had that aerial battle, it's Din Djarin that makes the catch. It's Din Djarin that like leads the way, and then Bo-Katan comes in and they work together to kind of tie up the beast and grapple its wings and make it fall in the water. Mm-hmm. So I mean, at least they haven't painted him like a complete moron, like in the episode where he almost got roasted over a fire. But like Baby Yoda needs to be a non-factor at this point completely. And if this is going to be Bo-Katan's show, or if they're building into a Bo-Katan versus Din kind of finale where one of them takes the Darksaber to be king or queen or whatever, we need to get there now. We need to be there now. They can't have any more elsewhere episodes like the week before with the Doctor. As interesting as I found that, they're out of time. These shows are too short and there's not enough of them to flesh out the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah.
I mean,
now the problem I have with this is that they're trying to use this show, since it has such high popularity, because the first season was outstanding, and I think Jon Favreau had a lot more to do with it than he does now. He's falling into them using the Mandalorian not to only kick off shows, but to tie everything together. Like the whole bringing Clone Palpatine to life. And you have the Boba Fett series that kicked off from this. You have scenes from like what they're trying to do with the Thrawn and what's her name series.
Don't forget Ahsoka. Yeah, they brought Ahsoka in. That's a direct tie into this also.
Yeah. So they got to stop using the series and stop using its popularity to try to justify Star Wars. And I think that's a huge problem with what they're trying to do right now. But on to my third point, I call this episode the redemption episode because the actor who played the most hated Star Wars character of all time, Jar Jar Binks, comes back as a pretty badass Jedi who was responsible for getting Grogu out of the Jedi Temple when the younglings were being slaughtered.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was one of the highlights, was watching him dual wield 2 different colored lightsabers to protect him. Yeah, it was a visually stunning. They threw back the old Coruscant with the old Jedi Temple on fire. Yep. So that was a great callback. And then them getting to a Naboo ship. Did you notice that part too? Yes, it was a Naboo ship that they got to get him off planet while they're facing TIE Fighters Gen 1.
Yep. Which again, me and my TIE Fighters, and I saw it like, wait a minute. Yeah, so wait a second here. They brought back some old stuff that you didn't get to see too much of, through the prequel trilogy. It didn't quite have the iconic, the twin ion engine sound, like that scream, but it had the vertically stacked engines as opposed to the exterior nacelles or whatever they're called, or the rocket pads or whatever you call them. Screw you tech guys. You tell me what it is. I don't care. I know the sound. That's all that matters. I saw the ship and I was like, all right, yay, here we go. TIE Fighters, but they're like 70 years old. Dude, I was digging that. Dude, I was glad to see. I knew who that was because I had heard it spoiled for me ahead of time that actor was going to be involved in a clip. I had a feeling because I knew there was going to be one more Jedi Temple flashback. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like if you're gonna insert a guy, you know, to a scene that only has like a one-off, that'd probably be the place to go. And it might not even be a one-off. He might be back. They might show you more about where he goes. I bet they do.
Yeah.
I bet they want to like close that loophole a little bit.
But it's nice seeing one of the most hated characters, the actor who portrayed him, get a chance to redeem himself in the same series, in the same timeline as the character that got so much flack.
Right. I mean, because it would have been kind of a garbage. It would have been a garbage move to bring the actor back to play a character, just to give him like a second crack at it without actually having it relate to anything, like you said, around the period where he was there. Like they could have just brought the actor in to play 50-year-old whoever gunslinger, you know, at one of the Tatooine bars or something. But they didn't. Yeah. They gave him like an honorable thing to do that had stakes for that story in an expanded way. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And that was actually my bonus point of the week too. I had a feeling you might come up with it, but I left it in there. My third point, I'll throw it down. I'll focus a little bit more on the time. Like you said, it's 32 minutes, but when you subtract out credits, it's significantly under 30. This one just absolutely goes. They step on the gas and they kind of just rip right into things. None of it is too terribly compelling. There's no overarching story through line for Mandalorian at all. Like, what is his goal in this season? Still train Grogu? Too vague, too big, too open-ended. We have the space pirate thing we haven't seen in 4 episodes. Maybe that's next week. I don't know. I don't think they do scenes from next week, right? I don't think the Disney Plus shows do that. Not regularly anyway. Right. So, you know, where are the Hutts from any of his involvement in the Boba Fett show? Because he's involved in kind of disrupting their enterprise as he was assisting Boba Fett. Like, where are they? Where's Ahsoka? Where's any other Dark Jedi situation? Where's a Mandalorian who's in opposition to Bo-Katan, who doesn't want her to have the Darksaber, but doesn't want Din Djarin to have it? I mean, there's just too much that they could do. But again, and tell me you didn't laugh your balls off at this. The stupid double Baby Yoda backflip bullshit. Have you ever seen? Dude, Jim Henson is rolling over in his grave at how awful that effect looks. Because they literally took this same stuffed animal I have behind me here and flipped him up in the camera twice. Dude, it was awful. Awful. Dude, and at this point in the game, is there any doubt that these Mandalorians are absolutely like Bush League PG-13 Mandalorians? They're training with paintball darts? Really? No, they're closer to Klingons than they are to paintball. Like, they'd be out here with like blunted edges on their steel weapons to train. They'd be out there probably in certain live fire drills, but they're not using paint darts, not even for younglings. They're Spartans. They're space Spartans. The strong survive. It's dumb. I can't watch any more just shit that just kind of like, it sanitizes and dumbs everything down. And the first season and 3/4 were not like that. No. So while this show, I know you've said multiple times, you didn't see Kenobi, you didn't see Boba Fett, so I'm going to speak on both of our behalves for our people here. This show isn't as bad as either of those. Don't get me wrong. It's not as offensive to canon as Kenobi was, where it literally just bends over along like a legacy hero and makes him an absolute chump. Nor is it as stupid as Boba Fett, where like this dude just wandered around for 6 episodes that were so stupid that 2 of them had to be imported from The Mandalorian specifically. And in an episode and a half, your main character, your title character, speaks no dialogue. Like, that's how awful Book of Boba Fett was in 6 episodes. He spoke not a line of dialogue in an episode in like 95%. You know, and then, like I said, you had Luke Skywalker and Baby Yoda show up with The Mandalorian, and what were their 2 highest rated episodes, including the premiere. So it's not that bad, but it's still not good. And it's closer to bad. If it's mediocre, it's leaning into D+ territory, no pun intended, than it is into like C+ territory. It's not looking good, dude. Closing remarks, if we have time. What do we got? I kind of diatribed.
We got 2 minutes left on the clock, so
here you go.
My bonus point would be she's a pretty good blacksmith. But the part that I brought up to my wife is I'm going to have to go with the Mythosaur is now in the same category as Unobtainium, as one of the dumbest names for anything.
Mythosaur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really exist.
I've seen people argue online, and I guess that there's precedent for some of this in the canon and Clone Wars and whatnot, that she actually tames it and rides it into battle at some point in canon elsewhere. I don't want to see that. I'll say that. I don't know if you'd be interested in seeing that. I like it better as a symbolic, spiritual representation of her finding the way. I don't think it needs to be an actual thing. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't need to be an actual dinosaur that she rides into the finale. Like, because again, they did this. They had Boba Fett ride a fucking Rancor at the end of his show because he had tamed a Rancor after talking to one for 3 minutes or something. I don't know. Just fucking stupid.
At least he talked.
But in that episode, and then 3 episodes, he didn't say anything. And then, of course, his sidekick there, Fennec Shand, whatever her name was obviously the better shot and better tactician than he was. So it was that kind of show. But do you want to see her like? Is the Mythosaurus something you'd want to see, or would you rather just leave it symbolic and that kind of thing? Like, only she saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it should stay that way.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they have the effects budget necessary to render something like that in broad daylight, which they try to do. 100%, they'd try to get it out there in all its glory, and it would look like some stupid mashup of a Rancor and a T-Rex and Godzilla or some bullshit. It wouldn't be intimidating at all. All right, dude. I think we covered all our bases. We're coming in under, or pretty close there too, right?
Right, almost right on mark. I am going to end that clock with 53 seconds left. At least according to my timer here. We'll see what it says on the actual edit.
I know. The render's going to be completely different, obviously, but that was good. All right, guys, you heard it from King Z. That's going to wrap up our coverage of Mandalorian Episode 4 for the 3rd season. Everybody looks like they're losing a little bit of faith, but we're still sticking around for next week. So we'll be back then with our shorter form, the Winter's Wrath, Summer
We'll suffer through it for you. We are suffering through it for you.
It's still not suffer level for me, but it's there, and next week could absolutely be the thing that throws me into the boiling pot. But that's it for us, guys. We'll see you in the next one.